This is Joe's Garden. Pleasure to be here today. We got a sunny afternoon after a few clouds and a few stray raindrops this morning. As we entered September yesterday, I thought, well, what about sharing some statistics, some production, some numbers? As you know, I've been keeping my log book all summer, everything I've harvested every day. And I decided this morning, to add some of those things up. I know I've talked about the cherry tomatoes being very productive and the zucchini being productive. Well, exactly how much? So here's what we've got. We don't want to drop a tomato. Actually, we've exceeded 1,000 cherry tomatoes off 2 cherry tomato plants. I think that's fantastic. Wow. And I talked about zucchini. Well, actually, we had just over 70 zucchini so far, and there's more on the vines now. So I think that's terrific. I'm really pleased with what's happened, and in spite of my friends the deer, we've had a great harvest. Now, to a couple of other things. What about the rest of the tomatoes? Well, I got some numbers for those as well. And on the beefsteak tomatoes, after I've done all my additions and subtractions, we've actually had 200 beefsteak tomatoes so far, and there's a lot more on the vines, both red, green, and all the shades in between. On the early girl tomatoes, we've had almost an equal amount, almost 200 from the early girls. The plum tomatoes, about 125 so far. We have probably an equal number on the vines. So when you start adding all those up, my gosh, you've got about 600 tomatoes. That's not so bad, and counting the over 1,000 cherry tomatoes, well, I couldn't be more pleased. So that's what's happening so far. To get a little bit about some of the tomatoes on the table here. I leave this table and chairs in the middle of the garden. It's large enough that I can accommodate this. It's a great little getaway spot for me just to come sit, have my coffee, even have a glass of wine. And the sun's out now, so perhaps I will have that glass of wine shortly. But these tomatoes are not props. I've just harvested these between late last night, just before dark, and early this morning, and I just leave them out here. They'll get a little extra sun. We've roasted several dozen tomatoes today in a big roasting pan in the oven. We're going to have some tonight. Also, we've roasted some squash. We're going to have a squash soup tonight. So again, having a garden is fun, and it's also productive, and you can utilize some of the food, and it's fresh, and it's organic. There are no pesticides, no chemicals used whatsoever. Every one of those little weeds have been pulled, believe me, pulled by hand. I think that's about it. Next time I'm going to be talking about some of the other things I've planted. I've got some third crop of peas coming up. The second crop of peas right over here. I'm going to be pulling some more of those and harvesting some of those today. And I also have a second set of beans coming up, just sprouting. So we'll see you soon. Have a great day. This is Joe's Garden.